Now, child care crisis. Recent studies show families in the Northeast shell out more on child care than they do on any other household expense, including their mortgage.
And for those who work in child care, it can be an even greater struggle. Studies found the cost of putting 2 kids in daycare exceeded their annual pay.
So with worker shortages already hitting the industry, what happens when child care providers have kids of their own? I sat down with workers to find out how the industry is coping and what they say needs to change. At Federal Hill House in Providence, Christina Loureiro is both a child care worker and an expectant mother.
It's kind of a scary thing to think about what's going to happen and how things are going to be managed, especially since I'm going to be out of work for, 12 weeks.
Loureiro has 1 teenager already, and now she's expecting twins. The financial burden is part of her fear. Even with a 50% discount, putting her kids in daycare so she can get back to work there is going to eat up a significant chunk of her pay.
Being a working mom, it's not, it's everywhere. It's with all professions, and it's always a struggle with everywhere.
At Federal Hill House, a nonprofit that helps low-income families in Providence, workers make an average of $15 to $20 an hour, depending on experience and credentials. Families pay an average of $300 a week, $15,000 a year for full-time care. Executive Director Kim Fernandez says that just about covers payroll, nothing more.
The income just doesn't match the expenses. We can't raise prices for parents really any higher to keep it affordable, and the state subsidies for low-income workers who might get child care assistance just doesn't increase. It hasn't increased, and it needs to increase. We need to pay our staff more money.
Fernandez says most of her full-time employees have second jobs or live with relatives to get by. But parents are already feeling the squeeze. In Rhode Island, the average cost of full-time care for 2 kids is on par with in-state tuition at URI, including room and board.
I absolutely think the industry is in crisis right now. I don't think that child care centers that are here today will still be here in a couple years unless there's a dramatic change.
Fernandez thinks the key lies in government funding.
Additional money, as was talked about earlier, in the area of child care.
In this year's state budget, House leaders made a last-minute addition following a concerted push by industry advocates, adding $7 million for child care programs paid for with unspent federal funds. That includes $4 million to provide free child care to eligible child care workers. Fernandez is hopeful for more investments in the future.
The more we invest in 0 to 3, 0 to 5, the easier it's going to be to keep educating and growing our children once they hit the public school system.
And coming up tonight, new at 6, we'll dive into that new pilot program to provide free child care to certain child care workers, including who's eligible and how long it's going to last. Now, child care crisis. In a field dominated by women, studies have found child care workers often can't afford the care they're providing to other people's children for their own kids.
Now, in an effort to address staffing shortages in the industry, a new pilot program in Rhode Island will offer certain workers free child care.
I sat down with workers and a local lawmaker to find out how it works.
It's kind of a scary thing to think about what's going to happen.
Christina Loureiro is worried about what happens when her twins are born. As a child care worker, affording child care for 2 infants so she can get back to work herself is a daunting financial prospect. Her employer, Federal Hill House, offers a 50% discount to employees, but the nonprofit is already struggling to stay above water.
It's being difficult for us to survive. It's like we are always on a surviving mode, month by month.
Now, a last-minute addition to the state budget will allow new or existing child care workers to get free care for their own kids, as long as they meet certain income requirements. State Representative Marianne Shallcross-Smith owns 15 daycare centers and says staffing shortages have hit the industry hard.
When you have empty classrooms and no teachers to hire, that's crisis. I've never seen that in 50 years. It is very new to me, absolutely.
The proposal to give workers free child care is a 1-year pilot program. It's for people who work at least 20 hours a week at a licensed center and whose household incomes are up to 300% of the federal poverty level, about $75,000 for a family of 3. For workers earning an average of $14 to $20 an hour, Shallcross-Smith says it will help make ends meet, and she hopes it will incentivize new workers to join the industry.
Parents want to work. They just right now cannot find childcare. I think it will attract more people in all types of jobs. This is good for the economy. This is good for the state.
Shalcross Smith is also a proponent of a federal cap on the cost of care. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services considers childcare affordable if it's no more than 7% of your household income. But according to a LendingTree study earlier this year, families in Rhode Island are shelling out close to 16% of their income on childcare, and in Massachusetts it's even higher, 18%. And while the cost burden on families is high, daycares like Federal Hill House say they are barely scraping by.
We are losing money right now. I don't think that child care centers that are here today will still be here in a couple years unless there's a dramatic change.
And Shalcross Smith told me that pilot program for workers is meant to generate some data so lawmakers can consider where to go from here. Their report is due in November of 2024.